The reason she chose this particular item was because its price was just within Lucas Howard's financial tolerance. Anything more expensive, and she knew she wouldn't be able to deceive him. It wasn't that the Harper family lacked money, but as someone who came from a poor background, Lucas Howard inherently valued money deeply and was often stingy in many situations. "Oh, no, not at all. How could it be?" Lucas Howard hurriedly refuted, "It's not expensive at all. Just watch, your husband will get it for you in a moment." "All right then." Hooked. A man like him was far too concerned with saving face. Chapter 4, Ancient Jade. Martha carefully reviewed her notebook, silently memorizing the code of the treasure she was truly interested in. That item, she must obtain it. Moreover, Kara Gordon had been provoked by her to the point of storming off somewhere. In that case, Kara wouldn't succeed as described in the book, in securing investment for Andrew Gordon. Her first battle had been won. Next, the auction began. The first item, a landscape painting by the esteemed Mr. Su, starting price 10,000, with increments of 10,000, starting now. The second item, jadeite, starting price 30,000, with increments of 10,000, starting now. The third item, a pink gemstone bracelet, this bracelet once belonged to the Tang dynasty, starting price 1 million, with increments of 10,000, starting now. After a round of introduction by the host, the pink gemstone bracelet began its bidding. 110,000. Lucas Howard, seated next to Martha, led the bid. But after he made his bid, no one else competed. Lucas Howard felt a surge of joy in his heart. He had been prepared to bid up to 2 million, but unexpectedly, no one else was interested in competing, and he could acquire it at the starting price. Just as he was secretly pleased and waiting for the host to strike the gavel, a cold male voice came from behind. 150,000. Martha followed everyone's gaze and looked over. It was William Hunt. He had woken up. Lucas Howard also turned to look at the bidder, and his expression almost cracked. Fortunately, the bid still hadn't exceeded his estimated price. 180,000. Lucas Howard calmly raised the bid. He didn't believe the heir of the Hunt family would truly care about this bracelet. It was likely just a casual bid to liven things up since no one else had spoken up. But William Hunt continued, 200,000. At this point, Lucas Howard truly felt his face was about to crack. The current price had already surpassed his expectations, and he began to hesitate. Unexpectedly, when he turned around, he caught Martha's expectant gaze. This. He wanted to marry Martha Gordon, he couldn't let her think he was stingy over a bracelet. He had no choice but to raise the bid again. 300,000. 400,000. William Hunt continued to push the price higher. 450,000. Lucas Howard gritted his teeth, his face darkening. 5 million. William Hunt raised the bid again. What on earth is William Hunt doing? Could it be that he genuinely likes this bracelet? Lucas Howard's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot, but with everyone watching him, he couldn't back down, not even at 5 million. Gritting his teeth, he shouted, 6 million. A broken bracelet at this price was already his limit, he couldn't go any higher. He still had other items he wanted to purchase, and this trinket had already eaten into his budget. Any more bids? 6 million, going once. This time, William Hunt didn't follow up, and the auctioneer began the countdown. 6 million, going twice. 6 million, sold. Congratulations to Mr. Harper for acquiring the pink gemstone bracelet at 6 million. Lucas Howard's heart was bleeding inside, but he had to maintain a cheerful facade. He glanced sideways at William Hunt, who was smiling back at him. That expression seemed to say, only an idiot would spend 6 million on a gemstone bracelet. Ugh! Lucas Howard felt as though a dagger had been plunged into his heart, leaving him on the brink of collapse. The price of the bracelet had been driven so high that murmurs of discussion erupted among the audience below. This bracelet is worth, at most, 3 million. It seems the young master of the Harper family truly loves the young lady of the Gordon family. Exactly, I own the same bracelet, and I bought it for only 1.8 million back then. The murmurs reached Lucas Howard's ears, and his mood, already on the verge of exploding, grew even darker. He even felt as though the words, "fool," were etched across his forehead. All the humiliation he was experiencing, he blamed it on Martha Gordon. In his heart, he silently plotted to settle the score with her the moment she stepped through the door. The fourth item, an ancient Tang Dynasty jade piece, starting price, 5 million. As soon as the jade piece was presented, Martha's entire demeanor lit up. This was exactly what she had been waiting for. 6 million. 7 million. 10 million. Martha directly shouted 10 million. With a black card in hand, she had no fear. 15 million. 20 million. Who is it, daring to compete with her? 30 million. Anna Downs continued to bid. The pink gemstone bracelet was undoubtedly bought by Lucas Howard for his fiancée, Martha Gordon. But why was William competing with Lucas Howard? Could it be that he was interested in Martha Gordon? Today, whatever Martha Gordon fancied, Anna Downs would fight for it. She wanted Martha Gordon to understand that Anna Downs was not someone to be trifled with. 50 million. Martha casually placed her bid, freezing Anna Downs' smug expression. 50 million. From what Anna Downs knew, the Gordon family had recently been searching for sponsors. How could the declining Gordon family suddenly produce such a large sum of money? Anna Downs refused to believe it. She crossed her arms, arrogantly stood up from her seat, looked toward Martha, and curled her lips into a cold, mocking smile as she said, "Some people shouldn't pretend to be wealthy. If you can't pay the bill later, it'll be truly embarrassing." Sitting next to Martha, Lucas Howard was already feeling uneasy. He knew Martha Gordon's financial situation better than anyone. Could it be that she wanted him to pay? That's unacceptable. If Miss Downs likes it so much, we'll fulfill her wish. Lucas Howard hadn't even finished his sentence when Martha interrupted him. "Host, shouldn't you announce the price of 5 million once again?" Lucas Howard's face turned pale with anger, his tone carrying a clear warning. "Martha, Miss Downs is right. If Uncle finds out about your reckless spending, he'll definitely..." Still not closing the deal. Lucas Howard's words were cut off once again. But this time, the interruption came from William Hunt. He directed his attention toward the host on stage. "Oh, 5 million going once." The host, who had been eagerly watching the drama unfold, quickly snapped back to attention. This time, an unusual silence fell over the room, no one dared to bid further. 5 million times 2. 5 million times 3. Deal, congratulations, Miss Gordon. The entire hall erupted in applause. Martha, under everyone's watchful eyes, stepped onto the stage to receive the ancient jade necklace and immediately requested to swipe her card for payment on the spot. The moment the transaction was completed, Anna Downs' expression turned incredibly complex. Chapter 5, Greenhaven's West District. Martha returned to her seat. Holding the ancient jade necklace, she could clearly feel the spiritual energy within her body harmonizing with the power of the jade. Her entire system of meridians relaxed, bringing an incredible sense of comfort. Lucas Howard grabbed Martha's arm tightly and questioned her, "Where did you get 5 million from?" "Of course, I saved it myself." Martha's serene moment was abruptly interrupted by Lucas Howard. Without lifting her head, she replied calmly. "You had money, and you didn't tell me." Earlier, hadn't Andrew Gordon mentioned that their family was running low on cash? Was he lying to him? Moreover, why wasn't this money used to support his work? What was the point of a woman flaunting herself at an auction? TCH. So annoying. This scumbag clearly only enjoyed putting on a show in front of others, pretending to be a devoted lover. The original owner of this body had been foolishly deceived by him. Why should I tell you? Besides, you never asked. Martha answered dismissively, her gaze beginning to wander around the hall. Lucas Howard was at a loss for words, choking on his response. Can't I spend my own money? Just because I married you, does it mean all my money has to be handed over? Martha frowned. As she spoke, the feeling of a cooked duck about to fly away made Lucas Howard respond anxiously, of course not, I'm just worried you might get scammed. This auction is quite complicated. Martha didn't expose his lie. A charity auction, for charity. Lucas, don't you often say that we should help others within our means? Indeed, in the book, what Lucas Howard said most often to the original host was to help others within her capacity. The truth was, he brainwashed the original host to help him within her ability. No, to go all out to help him. Martha sneered inwardly. This scumbag truly thought the original host was easy to deceive. He really used every trick in the book to manipulate her. Now, she was throwing his own words right back at him. Ah, right. Lucas Howard didn't realize that he was already being led by Martha. His initial anger, ready to criticize, was now suppressed because of a few words from her. Lucas, I'm going to the restroom for a moment. Martha had no interest in the remaining auction items. Besides, the person she was looking for had already been found. Leaving the auction room, Martha headed straight to the VIP area and easily located the Miller family's lounge. She gently knocked on the door, Miss Miller, I am Martha Gordon from the Gordon family. Lynn Miller, frowning inside the room, was slightly startled upon hearing the voice outside. She then opened the door, Miss Gordon, what brings you here? Her gaze was drawn to the antique jade pendant hanging at Martha's waist. Indeed, I apologize for the intrusion. I came to discuss a deal with you, Miss Miller. As they spoke, Martha followed Lynn Miller into the lounge. Oh. I wonder what kind of deal Miss Gordon wishes to discuss with my Miller family. Lynn Miller's tone was indifferent, as she didn't believe the seemingly useless young lady of the Gordon family could offer anything worthy of her attention. The piece of land in the west of the city, our Gordon family wants it. The land in the west of the city? Lynn Miller frowned slightly. We've already finalized negotiations on that land with the Downs family. The terms our Gordon family offers are undoubtedly better than those of the Downs family, Martha said, deliberately or unintentionally stroking the antique jade pendant at her waist. According to the book, this jade pendant held special significance for the Miller family, containing the secret to their ancestors' hidden treasure. What belongs to someone should remain theirs. Martha had no intention of coveting others' possessions. However, offering assistance while gaining a small benefit in return wasn't unreasonable. Oh. Lynn Miller's attention was now entirely captivated by the antique jade pendant. Today, if it weren't for those useless uncles and elders in the family constantly staring at her, this ancient jade would already be in her hands by now. The Gordon family absolutely will not destroy the ecosystem of that land. From what I know, the Downs family intends to use that land to build a commercial street and residential area, right? The land in the west of the city was originally a gift from Mr. Miller to his wife. Since his wife loved plants and flowers, Mr. Miller specifically had an ecological area constructed there. Later, when Mr. Miller and his wife passed away, the land fell into the hands of Lynn Miller. Lynn Miller initially didn't plan to sell the land, but one of the Miller family's projects encountered issues. The Downs family could resolve it, but in return, they had their eyes set on this piece of land. Martha's words deeply moved Lynn Miller. However, as far as she knew, the Gordon family's finances weren't sufficient to purchase this land. The land in the west of the city isn't cheap. I know. Martha understood Lynn Miller's concerns. The Gordon family indeed didn't currently have the financial capability to inspire trust. Lynn Miller looked slightly surprised, waiting for Martha to continue. I believe Miss Miller is well aware of the true value of this ancient jade. I trust it will satisfy you. Martha smiled as she removed the ancient jade from her waist and looked toward Lynn Miller. Lynn Miller's heart froze slightly. Could she know something? No, that's impossible. Miss Gordon, you must be joking. When this ancient jade was bought for $5 million, it was already a high price. Meanwhile, that piece of land is worth $800 million. As a merchant by nature, although Lynn Miller knew the jade's value far exceeded $800 million, she habitually tried to negotiate the price. Is that so? It seems Miss Miller lacks sincerity. Well then, forget it. Martha withdrew the ancient jade piece, pretending to stand up and leave. Lynn Miller saw that Martha was really about to leave, gritted her teeth, and hurriedly said, Wait, don't go, deal. Compared to this piece of ancient jade, what is that project even worth? Oh. Isn't this ancient jade less valuable than that piece of land? Lynn Miller tried to play tricks, but Martha didn't care in the slightest. This could even be considered as gifting the jade to Lynn Miller. If she still didn't want it, then finding the treasure herself wouldn't be impossible. Though the ancient jade isn't valuable, Miss Gordon's capabilities are priceless. I hope our Miller family can establish a long-term partnership with Miss Gordon. The eldest daughter of the Gordon family truly deserves a second look. Martha smiled. Miss Miller has quite an eye for talent. Lynn Miller looked at Martha, who only smiled and said nothing, clenching her fists under her sleeves. Rumors can truly ruin someone. Who said Martha Gordon was blinded by love, spending her days chasing after Lucas Howard? Now she smiled like a sly little fox. Was he waiting for her to bring up the contract? Lynn Miller's final plan collapsed. She had intended to exploit a loophole in the contract, but this eldest daughter of the Gordon family was anything but simple. She let go, extending her hand towards Martha with genuine sincerity. Pleasure to collaborate. I'll have my assistant fetch the contract now. Pleasure to collaborate. Martha shook Lynn Miller's hand. It was done. The land in the western part of the city is truly a place of good fortune. Back then, the Downs family purchased this piece of land, initially building a commercial street and residential area, which seemed ordinary at first. Later, they restored the original ecosystem and transformed it into a large member-only estate, reaping immense profits. After signing the contract, Martha returned to the auction hall, where the event was nearing its end. The items had already been auctioned off, and the host was giving a thank-you speech. As the auction concluded, Lucas Howard suppressed his discomfort and escorted Martha back to the Gordon family's villa. The moment Martha stepped out of the car at the villa entrance, she immediately noticed William Hunt elegantly leaning against a lamppost. He was dressed in a sharp suit, arms crossed over his chest, perfectly embodying the aura of a domineering CEO. Their eyes met, and William Hunt raised an eyebrow, extending his slender hand. However, his words were utterly unexpected. Return the card to me. Where's the domineering CEO now? Chapter 6, Confession. Martha was just about to say something when she suddenly became alert. Wait a minute. Someone's in the bushes. How could she have just noticed? Since when did her vigilance become so poor? What card? Lucas Howard stepped out of the car, looking at the two with a suspicious expression. Martha's brow twitched as she suppressed her other thoughts. She was certain that William Hunt was doing this on purpose, deliberately asking her for the card in front of Lucas Howard. Miss Gordon, are you reluctant to part with it? Take it. Facing William Hunt's teasing smile, Martha quickly pulled the card from her bag and handed it to him, trying to avoid any further complications. What is going on here? Lucas Howard grabbed Martha's arm and questioned her. He recognized the card. It was the one Martha Gordon used to pay earlier tonight. Didn't she say the $5 million was from her savings? Could it be that Martha Gordon was cheating on him? Martha looked at Lucas Howard, who was spinning his own narrative, and found it amusing. But she stayed silent, biting her lip and pretending to be hurt, as though she was wounded by her lover's lack of trust. In the bushes not far away, a hand was continuously pressing the camera's shutter. Everyone says the eldest son of the Harper family is deeply devoted to the eldest daughter of the Gordon family. But now, it seems that's not quite the case. William Hunt's cold gaze swept over the hand gripping Martha tightly. "Our business is none of your concern," Lucas Howard retorted harshly, glaring at William Hunt. "I'm just offering a helping hand. Care to guess what tomorrow's headlines will be?" William Hunt shifted his gaze toward the nearby bushes. Following William Hunt's gaze, Lucas Howard immediately spotted the reporter's cameras. He quickly let go of Martha's arm, replacing his angry expression with a proper smile, suppressing the anger boiling within him. He had to maintain his image as a devoted, gentle, good man. The speed at which his expression changed was astonishing. William Hunt smirked mockingly. As he passed by Martha, he used a voice only the two of them could hear and enunciated clearly, "Some people are not worth entrusting your entire life to." Martha watched William Hunt's retreating figure, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Did he come to ask for her card just to reveal Lucas Howard's true nature to her? Was the media presence also orchestrated by him? Once the two entered the villa, away from the weapons of the media, Lucas Howard's face immediately darkened. Angrily, he asked, "What did William Hunt say to you?" "Nothing," Martha paused briefly. "Just thanking me for saving his life today." "Saving his life? What do you mean saving his life?" "He has a heart condition. I gave him an emergency pill. In return, he promised to cover the cost of tonight's auction for me," Martha said before heading toward the bedroom. In saying so, it wasn't entirely a lie. The original owner of this body indeed had a mild heart condition and always carried emergency medication. However, since her arrival, the body had nearly fully recovered thanks to the strength of her soul. "What? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Tonight at the auction, there were several items he really liked. If he had known someone would pay for them, he would have bought them all. Lucas Howard suddenly felt annoyed. Martha stopped in her tracks, looking at Lucas Howard with an innocent expression. "Lucas, are you planning to take advantage of William Hunt?" Feeling a bit irritated from being called out, Lucas Howard's voice rose 2 tones in denial. "How could I? How could you think of me that way? You're yelling at me?" Martha appeared frightened, shrinking back, her voice filled with disappointment. "You weren't like this before. Lucas, do you not love me anymore? If you truly don't love me, I'm willing to let you go." Lucas Howard realized he had lost his temper and hurriedly tried to console her. "I didn't mean to, Martha, it's just because I love you so much that I'm sensitive to your thoughts. I won't act like that anymore, I promise. You looked so scary just now, I was really frightened, Lucas. Please give me some time to calm down." After saying that, Martha sadly closed the door to her room. Lucas Howard was left standing outside the bedroom door. "Knock, knock, Martha, please let me explain." No matter how Lucas Howard tried to explain outside, Martha paid no attention. At this moment, she was leisurely removing her makeup. Seeing the increasing number of servants in the villa, Lucas Howard, preserving his dignity, stopped explaining and left with a curt, "Then rest early," before storming off in anger. That evening, Martha went to her mother's room. Eve Gordon was slightly surprised to see her daughter but was still very pleased. It had been a long time since her daughter last visited her. "Martha, come sit here. It's so late, what brings you here?" Martha closed the door, sat down by her mother's bed, and looked at her intently. Eve Gordon was very thin, years of illness had stripped away the beauty of her youth. Martha couldn't help but feel a sting in her nose. "Mother, are you feeling any better? Did the doctor say when your illness might improve?" Martha's sudden and seemingly random concern surprised Eve Gordon. Her daughter had been pampered since childhood, a little princess who always acted on her whims. When had she learned to care about others? There must be something going on. Did Lucas Howard bully you? In the past, whenever Martha came, every sentence would involve Lucas Howard. Now, with her acting so differently, Eve Gordon could only assume it had something to do with him mistreating her daughter. "Mother, I want to break off my engagement with Lucas Howard," Martha said, her gaze firm as she looked at Eve Gordon. "What?" Eve Gordon's face was full of astonishment. Wasn't her daughter the one who liked Lucas Howard the most? She had once cried and made a scene, insisting on being with him. "Lucas Howard is not a good person. He married me only for the Gordon family's assets. He wants to step on the Gordon family to achieve the Harper family's ambitions. I'm just a pawn to him." As she spoke, Martha's eyes were filled with disgust, without a trace of hesitation. Eve Gordon was astonished by her daughter's transformation, unable to fathom what her daughter had gone through. She had long warned her daughter that the Harper family's son was not a suitable husband, but her daughter insisted on liking him. Every time she mentioned that the Harper family's son was no good, her daughter would get angry. Why had she suddenly come to understand now? "Mom, there's one more thing. You need to prepare yourself mentally." "What is it?" Eve Gordon had just recovered from her astonishment, but her daughter's following words left her unable to stay calm. "The state of our company." "Mom, you probably don't know yet." Martha asked cautiously. "The company? Isn't everything still fine?" Eve Gordon was slightly confused by her daughter's question. What could be wrong with the company? The Gordons, under Dad's leadership in recent years, have fallen from second place among the 4 major families to the very last. We're even on the verge of being removed from the ranks of the 4 major families. What? How is that possible? Eve Gordon couldn't help but raise her voice. "Martha, you can't joke about something like this with me." "Mom, it's true. The Gordon family has started to decline. Right now, we're only barely holding on to the title of being one of the 4 major families. Moreover, the company's capital chain is facing problems, and the skincare product line isn't performing well." To prove the authenticity of her claims, Martha took out her phone and showed her mother the documents she had gathered earlier. Her words were like a thunderbolt on a clear day, exploding in Eve Gordon's ears. Decline. Falling into decline. She had entrusted the Gordons to Andrew Gordon when the family was still in its prime. How could this have happened in just a few short years? Chapter 7, Stepping into the workplace. Eve Gordon held the phone, growing increasingly horrified as she read. This was completely beyond her understanding. Especially the stock chart analyses of the Gordon family by industry experts, those figures were glaring. Moreover, over the years, the reports Andrew Gordon had handed her had all seemed fine, but no, something was off. Eve Gordon suddenly realized something, breaking into a cold sweat despite it being summer. Andrew Gordon had been deceiving her. The Gordons is the lifelong effort of grandfather. "I will never let his hard work go to waste," Martha declared. There were things she dared not say now, it was not yet the right time. Speaking up would be too dangerous. Eve Gordon's body trembled slightly. Martha firmly held her mother's hand. "Mom, let me join the company. Trust me, I can handle this." "All right, I trust you. Tomorrow, report to the company's research and development department and start as the general manager." Although she had been away from the company for years, Eve Gordon still handled matters decisively. Furthermore, she had always been the true authority, the shares remained in her hands. It was just that she had delegated much of her power to Andrew. But Andrew had betrayed her trust, and she didn't even dare to delve deeper into why he had deceived her. The current composure and clarity of her daughter's mind were things she had never seen before. It seemed her daughter had truly grown up. Her own health had never been good, and she didn't know how much longer she could hold on. She needed to pave the way for her daughter as soon as possible. Eve Gordon immediately made a phone call after leaving Freely. Early morning. After finishing breakfast, Martha changed into a simple yet elegant black and white business suit and neatly tied her long hair into a bun. Ignoring Andrew Gordon's text message about arranging a driver to take her to the company, she went to the garage, chose the most inconspicuous Audi, curved her lips into a smile, stepped on the gas, and drove out through the side gate. Her next step was to enter the company and straighten everything out. At the same time, the driver Andrew Gordon had arranged for Martha was flamboyantly driving a bright red Ferrari, waiting at the main gate of the mansion to pick her up. The media Andrew Gordon had invited were also lying in wait near the company. Andrew Gordon had already come up with a trending headline, #The eldest daughter of the Gordon family treats the workplace as a stage to flaunt wealth. This morning, he had received the notification of Martha assuming her new position. He had a bad feeling but realized it was too late to stop her. He could only resort to this petty scheme to make Martha retreat. Martha parked her car in the Gordons' underground parking lot. Adjusting herself in the mirror to her best state, she stepped confidently on her high heels and walked into the Gordons. Meanwhile, the media lurking outside the corporation still hadn't spotted any red Ferrari passing by. Meeting room. Kara Gordon was in a meeting with her staff. She initially intended to keep up appearances in front of Martha Gordon, but the fact that Martha wanted to join the company, and even as her superior, was something Kara found very hard to accept. My cousin may have majored in biological sciences in college, but after all, she's been out of touch with the field for years. Now that she's starting fresh, if she makes any mistakes, I hope everyone can lend her a helping hand. These words sounded polite, but in reality, they were a subtle way of undermining Martha Gordon's competence. Manager Gordon, what is the company even thinking? Appointing a newcomer as the general manager of the R&D department, this is nothing short of a joke. Exactly. Our R&D department is the most critical part of the company. How can we let someone unqualified lead us? The managers voicing these opinions were all Kara Gordon's loyal confidants, individuals who had often received luxury gifts like handbags and watches from her. Kara felt a sense of satisfaction deep down but maintained a stern tone. After all, she is my cousin. Be careful with your words. Though she said this, the delight in Kara Gordon's eyes was unmistakable. The manager's comments grew harsher, their voices louder, each trying harder to curry favor with her. Outside the meeting room, Martha smirked slightly and quietly started recording on her phone. Turning around, she walked toward the reception desk. Inform all managerial-level staff in the R&D department to gather for a meeting in meeting room 2 in 5 minutes. Understood, the receptionist replied respectfully. After issuing the meeting notice, Martha did not head directly to the meeting room but instead turned toward the HR department. Shortly after, she returned to meeting room 2 carrying some documents. 8 minutes had passed, and apart from Martha, the room was empty. Martha neither rushed nor showed any annoyance. Calmly sipping her coffee, she reviewed the resumes of the attendees. Diana, described in the files as Kara Gordon's lackey, lacked any real ability and had climbed the ranks through flattery. Victor Miles, from the Gordon family, was promoted by Andrew Gordon and primarily tasked with solving issues for Kara Gordon. Tina Tan, also from the Gordon family, was fairly talented but frequently suppressed by Kara Gordon, preventing her from being utilized effectively. Lily Grant, knock, knock. Just as Martha finished reviewing the last resume, the meeting room door was knocked on. Tina Tan entered, accompanied by 2 or 3 other managers. CEO Gordon. Their demeanor was one of utmost respect. Please have a seat, Martha said with a faint smile. Once everyone was seated, she glanced at her watch. There were still 2 minutes left until the meeting time. Tina Tan discreetly observed the new CEO. She didn't seem to match the rumors circulating within the company. The rumors painted Martha Gordon as arrogant, vain, someone who spent her days chasing after men, with nothing but emptiness in her head. However, at this moment, Martha's attitude was calm, humble, and respectful, completely lacking the arrogance and conceit as rumored. CEO Gordon presiding. By the time the meeting started, 2 or 3 more department heads arrived. Martha gestured for them to sit down and then promptly locked the meeting room door. "Hello everyone, my name is Martha Gordon, the newly appointed head of the Research and Development Department. To be honest, this is my first time stepping into the corporate world. I'm very emotional. After so many years of studying with the Gordon family, I can finally put it to use," Martha began, her tone neither arrogant nor self-deprecating, directly addressing the rumors about her within the company. "I often hear my mother say that the Research and Development Department is the most crucial department in the company. Tina Tan, as the deputy manager of the R&D department, has led Chief Manager Thuong and Manager Miles in developing the company's currently popular scar treatment cream. Manager Miller has consistently worked on improving our anti-aging products." Martha mentioned each deputy and manager present by name. Everyone looked at Martha. At that moment, they realized that Martha was taking this job very seriously. "CEO Gordon, this is all part of our duty. We are honored to be a part of the Gordons." Tina Tan was the first to step forward and express her loyalty. Martha's demeanor exuded reliability, reminiscent of the previous CEO, Eve Gordon. "CEO Gordon, we believe that under your leadership, our Research and Development Department will only continue to improve." With Tina Tan taking the lead, the other managers also followed suit, expressing their loyalty one after another. Martha thanked them politely before announcing new benefits. "Abigail has her own unique insights in the field of scar treatment. Back then, the company rewarded Abigail with 50,000 yuan, but she has since only been receiving a basic salary. From today onwards, the research and development teams will receive a 1% commission on revenue. Manager Miller, you've dedicated yourself to the laboratory over the years, often neglecting your family. Your child must be old enough for kindergarten now, right? From now on, senior managers and staff with children under school age will have flexible working hours after completing their tasks." As soon as Martha finished speaking, the room erupted in enthusiastic applause. Among them, Manager Miller wiped away tears from the corner of her eyes. Her child was about to start kindergarten, and her family had been urging her to quit her job to focus on taking care of and picking up her child. But she didn't want to leave her work. Now, with CEO Gordon's arrival, her dilemma was immediately resolved. This move by Martha won over many hearts. Chapter 8, Eliminating Corporate Parasites. Knock, knock. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. The team, led by Diana and Victor Miles, was causing a commotion outside. Tina Tan stood up, intending to open the door, but Martha stopped her and signaled for the meeting to continue. "Next, we will arrange the tasks. Tina Tan, you'll be responsible for compiling the progress and assigning the leads for the current projects of the R&D department. Manager Miller, all the subsequent." Tasks were arranged, and the meeting was coming to an end. Tina Tan opened the meeting room door, and a few people outside angrily barged in. "Miss Gordon, this is a workplace, not a family playground. Are you gathering cliques to hold secret meetings?" Diana crossed her arms and glared at Martha without any courtesy. Martha calmly glanced at her watch. "It's exactly the scheduled time now, and it's been 3 minutes since I announced the meeting. I was busy." Diana hastily interrupted Martha before she could finish her sentence. "Oh." Martha's gaze turned icy. "Our R&D department has plenty of big and small tasks. It's not as simple as Miss Gordon might think. What exactly kept you busy?" Martha coldly cut off Diana, her commanding presence filling the small meeting room, making everyone feel suffocated. Diana felt a pang of guilt in her heart. She had only planned to make up an excuse to cover herself, but now she could only grit her teeth and continue lying. "The newly developed skincare product has some issues. I was just discussing it with the person in charge." "Call the person in charge here." Martha raised an eyebrow, a faint smile appearing at the corner of her lips. "The person in charge." Diana tried to explain, but as soon as she looked up, she met Martha's cold gaze and dared not say another word. The person in charge, when summoned, was understandably confused. The new skincare product was selling extremely well and had no issues whatsoever. Diana's lie shattered with a figurative crack. Martha pulled Diana's file from the stack of documents, tossed it in front of her, and calmly said, "You are being terminated by the company. Go to HR to complete the formalities. Compensation will be discussed with them." Diana stared at Martha in disbelief, her eyes blazing with anger. "Martha Gordon, you can't fire me." "Can't I?" Martha smiled faintly, her voice icy. "I belong to Manager Gordon's team. Only Manager Gordon has the authority to fire me. And you're firing me just because I was late to a meeting? I can take you to the labor court for this." Diana suddenly turned ferocious, the fire in her eyes burning intensely. Martha nonchalantly took out her phone and pressed play. The flattering voice of Diana and Victor Miles filled the room, their disparaging remarks about Martha clearly audible in the silent meeting room. Fuming, Diana grabbed her file and stormed out angrily. Martha raised an eyebrow and turned her gaze to Victor Miles. Victor Miles's face alternated between pale and flushed, inwardly cursing Martha as a vile woman. "No need for you to fire me, I'll handle my resignation paperwork myself." "Resign." "Deputy Director Miles, you should reconcile the accounts with the finance department first. A deficit of several $100,000, enough to land you in prison for a few years." Martha sneered coldly. Dare to challenge her? She knew the plot inside out. Every corrupt act within this company was as clear to her as the back of her hand. "You." Victor Miles was stunned. How did she know about the deficit of several $100,000? Even Kara Gordon was unaware of this. "If you don't want people to find out, don't do it in the first place," Martha said as she pulled out 4 or 5 files, tossing them onto the table. She turned to the manager standing behind Victor Miles and declared, "Everyone, head to the finance department to collect your salaries. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come to work anymore." The managers were dumbfounded. They hadn't expected Martha to lay off all of them. Firing nearly the entire senior management of the R&D department was a significant move that would undoubtedly impact its operations. "CEO Gordon, isn't this decision of yours a bit too hasty?" One of the managers stepped forward, glaring at Martha in dissatisfaction. "Hasty? If you don't pull out a rotten tooth, it will eventually ruin the whole set," Martha replied calmly, then left the meeting room without looking back. After Martha left, the managers surrounded Victor Miles, anxiously asking, "Deputy Inspector Miles, what should we do now?" "What else can we do? Go find Manager Gordon." Victor Miles led the managers to Kara Gordon's office. Diana was in Kara Gordon's office, crying and complaining. Kara Gordon, already overwhelmed by the noise, had assumed Victor Miles came to help her resolve the issue, but to her surprise, Victor Miles had also been dismissed. These people were making a fuss, crying and lamenting. The commotion left Kara Gordon pale with frustration. She clenched her fists tightly under the desk. She hadn't expected Martha Gordon to act so quickly, leaving her no time to react. "All right, that's enough. Everyone, stop the noise. Victor Miles, you're from the inspector's family. Diana, you're a manager. Both of you are responsible for critical aspects of the company's projects. Martha Gordon firing you all is entirely an act of defiance. Rest assured, it won't be long before she personally begs you to return. Moreover, my uncle has always valued you, and he won't sit idly by." Just as Kara Gordon finished speaking, her assistant hurried into the office, holding a document stamped with the company's seal. "Manager Gordon, CEO Gordon has drafted a new welfare plan, which has already been approved by the board of directors. It's being implemented as of now." "What?" Kara Gordon was stunned. She snatched the paper from the assistant's hand and skimmed through it. The others gathered around as well. Words like 1% of revenue and flexible working hours pierced straight into their hearts. Manager Gordon, you need to give us an explanation. You told us not to attend the meeting. That's right, Manager Gordon. We have elders and children to care for, and no jobs. Are you trying to push us into a corner? The group clamored noisily, their faces filled with agitation. Everyone, wait here. I'll go find CEO Gordon. Kara Gordon's face darkened as she grabbed the welfare notice and headed toward Andrew Gordon's office. Andrew Gordon had just stormed back in through the main door, still catching his breath, when he saw the welfare notice. He almost fainted on the spot. The board approved this? How is that possible? The old men on the board were all on his side. Something this significant, there was no way they could have kept it from him. Uncle, the company seal has already been stamped. Martha Gordon not only slapped you in the face today, but she also showed she doesn't respect you at all. Kara Gordon pouted, her face full of indignation. That insolent girl. She's really grown wings now. I'm calling your uncles right now. Andrew Gordon finished speaking and began contacting each of the stakeholders who were on his side. The answers he received were all the same, they knew nothing about it. Andrew Gordon snorted coldly and hung up the phone. Truly naive and inexperienced, not even aware of how serious a crime it is to unauthorizedly stamp the company seal. Unauthorizedly stamp the company seal? A glimmer of delight flashed in Kara Gordon's eyes. This matter could lead to imprisonment. Chapter 9, The Price of a Powerless Father. Andrew Gordon led Kara Gordon aggressively towards Martha's office. Let's go, find her. Martha, Diana, Victor Miles, these people are all long-time employees of the company, all very competent. How could you decide to fire them just like that? Andrew Gordon first questioned the issue of firing the employees. Very competent. Martha sneered, pulling a file from the cabinet and throwing it in front of Andrew Gordon. Here is the accounting report that was just delivered. Take a look yourself. Andrew Gordon's face darkened as he picked up the file, skimmed through it, and then said, let's set aside the issue of firing employees for now. Let me ask you, what is this welfare notice about? The board hasn't approved it. The discrepancies in the financial report were clear to Andrew Gordon, and some were even due to his own indulgence. These people worked for him, so naturally, he had to grant them some benefits. Father, just a moment. Martha said, picking up her phone to call the Gordons' legal representative, Lawyer Lou. She had only learned about this from her mother earlier that morning. Not long after, Lawyer Lou arrived with documents in hand. Lawyer Lou, please explain this welfare notice to my father, Martha said calmly, looking at him. Lawyer Lou nodded. Mr. Gordon, this is the share transfer agreement from Mrs. Eve Gordon. Miss Martha Gordon currently holds 50% of the company's shares. As for this welfare notice, Director Miles and Director John have both approved it. According to company regulations, if shareholders holding a combined 60% agree, the agreement takes effect. Andrew Gordon's face grew darker and darker as Lawyer Lou spoke. Eve Gordon, that wretched woman, had transferred all her shares to Martha Gordon. That's 50% of the company's shares. Andrew Gordon gritted his teeth, his heart filled with resentment. Kara Gordon stood next to him, her envious gaze impossible to hide. She was seething with hatred, unable to comprehend how Martha Gordon suddenly rose to become the largest shareholder of the Gordons. Father, is there anything you still don't understand? Martha asked coldly, looking at Andrew Gordon. I understand everything now. Attorney Lou, please step outside for a moment. I need to have a private conversation with my daughter, Andrew Gordon said darkly. Attorney Lou glanced at Martha, who nodded in agreement. Once Attorney Lou left, only Martha, Andrew Gordon, and Kara Gordon remained in the office. Andrew Gordon restrained his anger, attempting to keep his tone calm as he said, Martha, you know the company hasn't been doing well in recent years. This welfare announcement could very well bankrupt the company. Is that so? Martha replied without even looking up. Yes. It's true. You're still young and don't understand the complexities of the business world. So, transfer half of your shares to me. I'll step away from my current responsibilities and personally guide you, Andrew Gordon said, his eyes glinting with ambition. Hearing that, Martha smiled and said, Father, I need to discuss this matter with Mother. What's there to discuss? Andrew Gordon impatiently responded, unwilling to let his old wife at home find out that he was eyeing the Gordons' shares. Cousin, I really admire you. Uncle personally teaching you will save you so many detours. Kara Gordon suppressed her jealousy and began to support her father. Father already said it, I don't understand the complexities of the business world, but Mother does. If I listen to her, I won't go wrong. Kara, do you truly admire me? Martha shifted her tone, directing her question toward Kara Gordon. Kara Gordon didn't understand Martha's intention and hesitated before nodding. Of course, Uncle has made quite a few achievements for this company. Quite a few achievements. That statement left Martha feeling uncomfortable. If that's the case, Father, why not temporarily assign your recent work to teaching Kara? Her behavior of inciting subordinates to disrespect their superiors is truly foolish. Kara, you too, are temporarily suspended from your managerial role. During this time, Father, please teach Kara how to become a competent manager. Once she learns, her position can be reinstated. Martha slightly curled her lips into a smile, looking at the father-daughter duo in front of her. Or does my cousin want to be demoted? Such a major mistake in work without any punishment would make it hard for others to accept. Martha interrupted Kara Gordon's explanation directly. Martha Gordon, what do you mean by this? Andrew Gordon, who only held a small percentage of the company's shares, compensation given by Martha Gordon's grandfather when he became a son-in-law, was visibly upset. Father's work can be temporarily handed over to Uncle James Turner. You want to seize the Gordons' assets? Then I'll strip you of your power. Andrew Gordon could no longer keep his composure. He glared angrily at Martha and shouted, You ungrateful child. Are you trying to anger me to death? Infuriating someone to death? Where did that come from? Martha rested her chin on one hand, seemingly genuinely puzzled by the meaning of those words. Why was my task handed over to James Turner? You can't do this. Andrew Gordon was on the verge of exploding with anger. Can't do it? Have you forgotten the company's regulations, Father? Shares represent absolute decision-making power. I recall this rule was even proposed by you as the head of the board of directors. Martha raised an eyebrow, her expression innocent as she spoke. Martha Gordon, you're authoritarian and domineering. The Gordons will be ruined in your hands sooner or later. Andrew Gordon was so furious his chest rose and fell violently. He pointed at Martha and shouted. Ruined in her hands? In the novel, it was Andrew Gordon himself who single-handedly destroyed the Gordons. Martha's face instantly turned icy cold, and she spoke each word with precision. Don't worry, Father, I won't let anyone steal or destroy the Gordons. The chill in her voice made Andrew Gordon's entire body tremble, and a wave of coldness surged up his spine. Had she realized something? No, impossible, that matter was handled extremely discreetly by him. How could she possibly know? As soon as Andrew Gordon had this thought, he immediately dismissed it. She must be bluffing. Andrew Gordon snorted heavily, your way of alienating everyone around you will eventually bring you retribution. Then there's no need for you to worry, Father. You should focus on properly teaching Kara. Martha coldly curled her lips, her expression icy as she spoke. You will absolutely regret this. Andrew Gordon's face was filled with anger as he turned and stormed off. Kara Gordon, furious, stomped her foot and added, You won't have a good ending. Then she turned and followed Andrew Gordon as they left. The corner of Martha's mouth lifted into a smirk. Such vile and shameless words could only come from the two of them. "Anna, the announcement about CEO Gordon's reassignment can now be posted on the company's official website," she said. She wanted to see how the father and daughter duo would deal with the parasites clinging onto them. Before Andrew Gordon even reached his office, Diana had already seen the announcement posted on the company's official website. In an instant, chaos erupted. Chapter 10, The Look Limited Company. Diana and her group rushed to Andrew Gordon's office, only to run into him as he was returning. Immediately, a chorus of voices surrounded him, all speaking at once. "CEO Gordon, what should we do now? Does your company no longer need us? We have also contributed a lot of effort to the corporation. Many times, I was the one who resolved the aftermath of Manager Gordon's issues." "That's right, CEO Gordon. Pushing people too far will only corner them." The emotions of these individuals were completely stirred up by the announcement on the official website. The anxiety over unemployment left them restless, and the superficial peace was instantly shattered. "What do you mean by this?" Andrew Gordon's face darkened as he angrily glared at those who had revealed their true colors. "CEO Gordon, I even have evidence from the previous bidding process." Andrew Gordon's attitude left Victor Miles disheartened. The loophole that Martha Gordon instructed him to cover up, he hadn't spent a dime to fix it. Instead, he decided to lay all his cards on the table and take a gamble. He had been present throughout the previous bidding process involving the small company, The Look. Luckily, he had kept some foresight. As soon as the bidding process was mentioned, Andrew Gordon's expression grew even darker. However, these individuals were now like ticking time bombs that could explode at any moment. Before coming up with a better solution, he had to stabilize them. The man let out a sigh, feigning a sorrowful expression as he said, "Given my current situation, which you all have seen, the only path I can offer you is to join another company. That company is one where I hold 100% of the shares." CEO Gordon, Victor Miles has reconciled the accounts with the finance department and compensated $30,000 for the year. Along with Diana and the others, he has completed the resignation procedures at the HR department, the HR director informed Martha over the phone. $30,000 for the year. Martha leaned one hand on the table, examining her nails thoughtfully. Where could Victor Miles have obtained $30,000? From what she knew, he was the type to spend $2 for every dollar he earned. Yes, after settling the accounts with the finance department, he handed over $30,000 quite readily and even made some harsh remarks. "It seems another company has already sent him an offer," the HR director reported in detail. "All right, I see." For him to so easily come up with $30,000 in compensation, it was clear the money didn't come out of his own pocket. Martha thought of her poor father, Phoenix. As for the offer from another company, if her poor father Phoenix could provide $30,000, then there was an 80 to 90% chance that Victor Miles had joined his company, the one secretly established behind the Gordons' back, Jume Limited Company. Martha's lips curled into a smirk. She knew exactly what kind of person Victor Miles was, and surely her father did too. Now, not only could he not get rid of him, but he also had to compensate him $30,000. This sense of grievance would surely anger her father for quite some time. As Martha pondered, she opened Tyanyanka to search for Jume Limited Company. This crucial detail needed to be thoroughly investigated. The legal representative of the Look Limited Liability Company was named Henry Tan. In the novel, it was mentioned that he was a distant cousin of her aunt. Henry Tan was only a nominal legal representative. In reality, the company belonged to Andrew Gordon, with its business scope focused on cosmetics. Over the years, Andrew Gordon had repeatedly used products from the Gordons to cover the losses of this company. Searching for the Look Limited Company on Baidu, all that appeared were images of spirited meetings. Most of the employees inside were women with short hair, looking very agile. Searching for Henry Tan revealed a life of luxury, expensive cars, and wealthy mansions. This model, to put it nicely, is multi-level marketing. To put it bluntly, it's a scam. Ting ting. The notification sound of Martha's phone rang. To celebrate your first day at work, I've reserved a spot at CC Bar. You and Fiona Blake should make up by now, right? A WeChat message arrived. Martha switched the screen to look at Victor Clark's chat. Fiona Blake, the former owner's best friend, despised the overly sentimental nature of the original owner. Previously, the two had a huge argument over Lucas Howard, publicly declaring their friendship over. Be on time. After work, Martha changed her clothes and headed straight to the bar. At this moment, the lights were dazzling, and people swayed on the dance floor. Martha sat across from Fiona Blake, raising her glass. Fiona, you were right. With that, she downed her drink in one go, feeling utterly refreshed. Fiona Blake, still holding a grudge and refusing to forgive Martha, was momentarily stunned to see Martha drinking like that. She frowned and asked, "Did that jerk Lucas Howard bully you?" "Yeah, I don't like him anymore." Martha nodded vigorously, her cheeks flushed red. Fiona Blake, the ever-vivacious Fiona Blake. In the book, Fiona Blake didn't have a good ending. She wholeheartedly protected the protagonist but was seen as a thorn in the side by Kara Gordon, enduring countless hardships as a result. That scumbag. I told you before, he's not trustworthy. What did you say to me back then, huh? You said he was gentle, kind, nonsense. He's nothing but a wolf in sheep's clothing. Stop drinking. How many times have you been to this bar already? Don't you know your own alcohol tolerance? Fiona Blake snatched the glass from Martha's hand and slammed it down on the table. All right, stop lecturing me. How's your career going? Martha changed the subject. In the book, Fiona Blake had feelings for Ethan Gordon, the protagonist's brother. But that blind Ethan Gordon only had eyes for Kara Gordon. As a result, Fiona Blake poured all her energy into her career, yet she never seemed to succeed. Later, her beauty salon went bankrupt, and her luck only worsened. It all boiled down to Kara Gordon's protagonist aura wreaking havoc. Under the table, Victor Clark kept tugging at Martha's sleeve, signaling her to stay quiet. Fiona Blake's career was on the brink of collapse, and Martha had just hit a sore spot. Victor feared these two stubborn mules would start arguing again. A complete mess. Fiona Blake shouted, her voice rising above the lively music in the bar, as Martha looked at her with concern. Because your fairy dew ingredient is insufficient. The storyline in the book is this: Fiona Blake's beauty salon was thriving. Kara Gordon, spotting a business opportunity, uncovered the secret to Fiona Blake's salon's success and persuaded her mother, Abigail Stone, to monopolize the most essential ingredient in fairy dew, fairy herb. They then used it for her mother's salon, which also became a massive success. Without fairy herb, Fiona Blake's salon business gradually declined, and most of her customers were now taken by Abigail Stone. How do you know? Fiona Blake looked at Martha in astonishment. That's a secret I can't reveal. Martha smiled mysteriously, pulling out a contract from her bag. Boss, I want to invest. Is that okay? Invest? Fiona Blake accepted the contract. Are you sure? My salon is about to close down. The flickering lights of the bar made it difficult for Fiona Blake to read the text on the contract. Absolutely certain. Martha replied firmly. Take the contract home and read it carefully. I'll come to the salon tomorrow to discuss it with you. Negotiating business in such a noisy place. Can't you two take a break from work? Victor Clark curled his orchid fingers, pointing to a handsome young man not far away. He continued, Ladies, look at that handsome guy over there. Martha and Fiona Blake followed Victor Clark's gaze. Indeed, the young man across the way was quite attractive, bearing a resemblance to the appearance of the most famous boy band of the moment. But, isn't the age a bit too young? Chapter 11, reunion. Martha withdrew her gaze, took the lead in raising her glass, and said, "Not my type." She had no interest in inexperienced young men. She was already several hundred years old, and this young man was only 20-something. Far too young, far too immature. She didn't like this type at all. However, Fiona Blake beside her misunderstood Martha's words, thinking she was still hung up on Lucas Howard. This wouldn't do. She had to help her best friend forget that scumbag as soon as possible. Fiona frowned and glared. "I think he's fine. Let's roll the dice. Whoever gets the lower score has to go ask for his WeChat. How about that?" Okay. Martha agreed immediately, a strange sense of competitiveness rising within her. Nothing could stop her now. Her thoughts were actually quite simple. Ethan Gordon wasn't worth Fiona Blake staying lonely for. She wanted Fiona Blake to meet more men. After all, as beautiful women, they couldn't just hang themselves on one crooked tree forever, could they? 6 points. Victor Clark went first, immediately rolling the highest score, successfully eliminating himself. 3 points. Fiona Blake followed, and her score left her a bit hopeless. Martha couldn't help but curl her lips into a smirk. She began rolling the dice. Fiona Blake was definitely going to lose. The moment unfolded, and the smile froze on her face. How unlucky could she be? Ha ha ha, 1 point. Victor Clark and Fiona Blake burst into laughter at Martha's expression. "Martha, when the heavens entrust a great mission to someone capable, here, borrow this lipstick to add some flair." Ha ha ha. Martha looked at her handsome brother with a serious expression. This was the first time in her life she was going to ask someone for their WeChat. Good luck. As Martha stood up, Fiona Blake smugly raised her hand in a cheer. Martha sighed softly, randomly targeting a young man as she stepped forward. She had never done anything like this before, so she could only pretend to be charming and act like she was very experienced. "Hey there, can I get your WeChat?" WeChat? Before the young man could respond, a very familiar voice reached her ears. Following the sound, Martha turned her gaze and saw William Hunt lazily leaning against the sofa, looking at her with an unhappy expression. Huff. Why is he here? Martha's index finger started to swell and ache again. She gently rubbed it, feeling a slight dampness at the tip. The last time she felt this sensation was also when she was near William Hunt. So, is he the trigger for the celestial pathway, causing it to overflow? "Sis, do you still want my WeChat?" The young man whom Martha had asked for WeChat had already opened the QR code page. Not far away, William Hunt noticed the scene. His gaze darkened as he looked at the young man with a chilling expression. The young man didn't understand what was happening but felt a cold shiver down his spine. A strong, oppressive aura weighed on him, making it hard to breathe. In a panic, he quickly turned off his phone and said to Martha, "I already have someone I like." Then, trembling, he turned away, nervously glancing at William Hunt. "You all can carry on." A cold voice rang out, and the group of young men, as if relieved of a heavy burden, scattered like startled birds. At this moment, only William Hunt remained seated in the corner. He took a deep breath, catching a faint trace of pure spiritual energy amidst the overwhelming smell of alcohol. It seeped into his lungs, instantly dispelling the fatigue in his body. This familiar spiritual energy still emanated from the woman before him. A sense of curiosity about Martha stirred within William Hunt. He had hastily skimmed through this book before coming here. Martha Gordon, this character with only a few brief strokes, doesn't seem to resemble the typical cannon fodder side character in the original story. Moreover, celestial dew, not just anyone can possess it. Could it be that she's also someone from outside the book? Interesting. William Hunt slightly curled his lips, his voice carrying a hint of allure, incredibly enticing. "So quick to change your mind already?" "Breaking up with the wrong person is the only way to meet the right one," Martha replied nonchalantly, then naturally sat down on the sofa. The tingling sensation in his fingertips became even more pronounced. The advice I gave last time seems to have been meddling unnecessarily. As Martha approached, the scent of spiritual energy grew stronger. Using the excuse of pouring a drink, William Hunt leaned slightly toward Martha. Both were secretly observing each other. Martha casually waved her hand. If it weren't for Mr. Hunt's reminder, I wouldn't have awakened in time. I still have to thank Mr. Hunt. As the time they spent together increased, the tingling sensation in his fingertips reached its peak. At this moment, the distance between the two was only 1 meter. I heard Miss Gordon has started working. William Hunt's gaze rested on Martha's right index finger. His seductive Adam's apple moved slightly. He had an intense desire for Martha's index finger. Last time, following his instincts, he had absorbed the celestial dew from her finger, and the sealed magical power within him loosened slightly. This hope made him crave her. He had never intended to imprison himself in the book forever, and Martha's celestial dew seemed to hold the key to restoring his powers and quickly escaping this place. So, Mr. Hunt has been watching my every move. Martha took the initiative to strike first, her left hand resting on the sofa, her body suddenly leaning forward, warm breath brushing against William Hunt's face. A crisp snap echoed in her mind as Martha's index finger began to secrete celestial dew. She focused on chanting an incantation to collect the celestial dew, which started to gather at the tip of her index fingernail. William Hunt's gaze shifted from cold indifference to unconscious fascination, and now to burning desire as he stared at Martha's finger. Engrossed in collecting the celestial dew, Martha failed to notice the change in William Hunt. Want. William Hunt could no longer suppress his yearning for spiritual energy. With his current feeble powers, he couldn't resist his instincts. A seductive aura seemed to emanate from his very bones, making him irresistibly captivating. Smooch, he grabbed Martha's index finger and drew it into his mouth. The warmth of his mouth startled Martha, breaking her concentration. The incantation to collect the celestial dew lost its effect, and the dew was greedily sucked away by him. How could such a precious thing be so easily taken advantage of by someone else? Martha suddenly exerted force, trying to pull her index finger back, but the other party remained as steady as a rock. Mr. Hunt, are we that close? Martha gritted her teeth, glaring at the devilish man in front of her. William Hunt reluctantly lifted his gaze to look at Martha. Perhaps because he was too satisfied with his actions, the coldness in his eyes was replaced by a seductive charm, making him appear even more devilishly alluring. Another black card? Martha looked at the familiar black card presented before her with utter helplessness. Why did it feel like the two of them were engaging in some strange transaction? However, unwilling to let this man take advantage of her, Martha was just about to accept the black card when an angry voice suddenly rang out, startling her. Her fingertips froze mid-motion. Martha Gordon, what are you two doing? Lucas Howard's face was dark as he stood before Martha. At last, he had caught them in the act. Business. William Hunt spoke coldly, his expression displeased, a dangerous glint flashing in his deep black pupils. Damn it, no more escape routes. Business? What kind of business could Mr. Hunt possibly have with my fiancée? Lucas Howard's tone was sharp as he addressed William Hunt. Miss Gordon is currently the Director of Research and Development at the Gordons. She's not some housewife waiting to be married off. There's plenty of business to discuss, William Hunt replied with a faint smirk, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Lucas Howard grew even more irritated. Unable to outwit William Hunt, he turned his anger toward Martha, shouting, I just saw him sucking on your finger. Lucas, could it be that you've misunderstood us? Martha glanced through the red wine and green lights, accidentally catching sight of a camera not far away. The endurance and determination of the media nowadays were truly astonishing. Seeing Martha's reaction, the fury within Lucas Howard ignited. Misunderstanding? She called it a misunderstanding. Was she implying he was blind? He angrily snapped at Martha, misunderstanding. Martha Gordon, do you call this intimate act a misunderstanding? Martha endured the discomfort of being gripped tightly and spoke in a slightly weak tone, you're hurting me. Hurting you? Martha Gordon, this pain is nothing compared to the humiliation of the green hat you've given me. In Lucas Howard's mind, he would never tolerate being betrayed. Green hat. Lucas Howard, every matter requires evidence. Martha struggled, trying to pull her wrist back. But Lucas Howard's grip was unrelenting. Chapter 12, Is this so amusing? Is this how Mr. Harper treats his fiancée? William Hunt's voice was filled with mockery. As he spoke, William Hunt stepped in front of Lucas Howard, forcefully grabbing Lucas's wrist. Lucas Howard winced in pain and, with a pained expression, released Martha. Although he really wanted to slap William Hunt, the other party's background forced him to calm down. How I treat my fiancée is my business. On the contrary, Mr. Ho, what intentions do you have towards my fiancée? Intentions? Just ordinary ones. William Hunt frowned, disdainfully releasing Lucas Howard's wrist. He merely spent money to pave the way, having no other designs on Martha. Lucas Howard, stop throwing baseless accusations at Mr. Hunt. Seeing Lucas Howard gradually calming down, Martha secretly added fuel to the fire, letting the media capture Lucas Howard's true face. Lucas Howard's composure began to crack. Martha Gordon, are you defending him? Lucas Howard. Can you be reasonable for once? Anger is good, anger is wonderful. I'm unreasonable. Martha Gordon, since when did you become so shameless? Asking him to be reasonable. This thick-skinned woman. Wait until they get home, he'll teach her a lesson. How could you say that about me? Martha secretly pinched her thigh, her eyes immediately turning red. To outsiders, it looked like Martha was being wronged. You did it yourself, and I can't speak about it. The pure girl I loved, where has she gone? Lucas Howard looked at Martha with disappointment. Martha took a deep breath, her acting becoming even more convincing. She cried and sobbed, Lucas, is that how you see me? You weren't like this before. Her sobbing stirred a sense of triumph in Lucas Howard, and he glanced at William Hunt. He wanted to show William Hunt that the woman in front of him was madly in love with him. William Hunt observed Lucas Howard's demeanor and inwardly sneered. He truly couldn't understand how someone as intelligent as Martha Gordon had once been so infatuated with a man like this. In the past? Look at what you've done, do you think you're worthy of even mentioning the past? Lucas Howard said smugly, his tone arrogant. Hearing this, Martha lowered her head in pain, her voice filled with grievance. If that's the case, then let's break off the engagement. Lucas Howard, I won't waste your time anymore. Lucas Howard's smug and arrogant expression instantly froze. Why was this not going as he had expected? Normally, at this moment, Martha Gordon should have been apologizing to him, trying to please him, begging for his forgiveness. Where had things gone wrong? Lucas Howard's mind was in turmoil, but he knew the immediate priority was to pacify this lowly woman. Martha, I don't like the term, break off. I truly love you, Lucas Howard said, his eyes beginning to glisten with fake tears. His pretentious display of affection only made Martha feel nauseous. Not trusting me, deliberately hurting me, using words to attack me, is this what you call love, Lucas Howard? I'm truly disappointed in you. Mr. Hunt, I'm sorry you had to witness this joke today. We'll discuss business matters another time. Martha, weary, grabbed her handbag and turned to return to their table. Of course, Lucas Howard followed her, which immediately brought him face to face with Fiona Blake. Fiona Blake stretched out a leg, blocking Lucas Howard from entering the seating area. She clicked her tongue, her face full of disdain. Where did this dung beetle come from? Why does it smell so awful? Victor Clark, do you smell it too? Of course I smell it. This bar needs to improve its ventilation, Victor Clark said, his disdain for Lucas Howard evident. Though Lucas appeared presentable, his actions were anything but human, more like a dog's. In the past, when his best friend had been infatuated with Lucas, Victor couldn't scold or criticize him. But now that his friend had woken up, there was no way he'd tolerate this scumbag anymore. Lucas Howard's face darkened after being scolded. He wanted Martha to say something on his behalf but noticed she had her head lowered, her body trembling slightly as if she were crying. No one spoke up for him, but Martha Gordon's two friends, especially Fiona Blake, were relentless. Fiona, in particular, never let go of an opportunity whether she was in the right or not. This bar was crowded and chaotic, he didn't want to argue with Fiona Blake. So, he tried to appear affectionate, looking at Martha with tenderness and said, "Martha, don't be angry anymore. If you harm your health, it will make me heartbroken." Then, he pulled out a card from his pocket and handed it to Victor Clark. "Tonight's expenses are on me. Please trouble senior designer Scott to take care of Martha. Don't stay out too late." After finishing all this, he looked at Martha again, with a reluctant and affectionate expression, and said, "Martha, I'll wait for your call." With that, he turned and left. Fiona Blake angrily spat in the direction of his retreating figure. She then looked at her best friend with concern. "Martha, don't be sad anymore. Wait a moment." That slight smile at the corner of her lips didn't look like sadness. Fiona Blake leaned closer to Martha, lowering her head slightly, and discovered that this woman was laughing joyfully. "What's going on here?" Before Fiona Blake could react, Martha suddenly hugged her, burying her face in her chest, laughing even louder. "Is it really that joyful?" Fiona Blake stared blankly at Victor Clark. At this moment, Victor Clark's gaze followed William Hunt's line of sight, looking toward the distance. That faint shadow sparked a sudden thought in his mind. He grabbed a tissue from the table, handed it to Martha, and at the same time leaned closer to Fiona Blake, whispering, "The media is here." "The media?" Fiona Blake glanced at Martha in her arms and suddenly understood. She began cursing Lucas Howard. Occasionally, she paused to catch her breath and said to Martha, "Big sister, can you shed a few tears? I really can't cry." Thinking about Lucas Howard's appearance earlier, Martha couldn't help but curl the corners of her mouth upward. "I no longer doubt that you have any feelings left for that scumbag Lucas Howard." Earlier, she thought her best friend was just saying it casually, but now it seems to be entirely true. This really is worth celebrating, joy has arrived. After the media left, Martha began drinking to celebrate. With someone else footing the bill, there was no need to hold back on spending. By the early hours, Martha helplessly looked at the two drunkards causing a scene. The drunk man on the left mumbled, "Martha, I've long been displeased with your rustic appearance. From now on, become beautiful." The drunk man on the right shouted, "Martha, a beauty doesn't need love. Let us invest in your career, get rich. And get charming." Martha in the middle. After settling the two drunk men, it was already 3 in the morning. Martha yawned and returned to the Gordon family mansion. She happened to run into Ethan Gordon, who looked worried as he was heading out. In Martha's mind, the novel's plot automatically surfaced. Kara Gordon, drunk, accidentally called Ethan Gordon. Ethan, concerned for the beauty's safety, went to the bar late at night to pick her up. On the way to take Kara Gordon home, she borrowed the moment to express her emotions, reminiscing about her father and lamenting her unfortunate fate. Ethan Gordon promised that no matter what happened, he would always stand by Kara Gordon's side. In summary, from this day forward, Ethan Gordon officially became Kara Gordon's stepping stone. From now on, refuse to be anyone's tool. Chapter 13, The fish pond is about to explode. Thinking this, Martha immediately grabbed Ethan Gordon. "It's so late already, where are you going?" "Kara is drunk at the bar. She's a girl, and it's very dangerous for her to be alone." I'm going to pick her up, Ethan Gordon said, worry evident as sweat covered his forehead. What happened? Kara is always so composed. Did something serious occur? I'll go with you, Martha said boldly, grabbing her bag and following Ethan Gordon. All right, let's hurry, Ethan Gordon agreed without much thought, his mind entirely preoccupied with concern for Kara Gordon. Kara Gordon could never have imagined, even in her dreams, that Martha Gordon would come along with Ethan Gordon. She had no choice but to swallow all her grievances and complaints. Half leaning against Ethan Gordon, the cold wind outside the bar made her mind unusually clear. Glancing at Martha beside her, she weakly said, Martha, I really admire the bond between the two of you. Arguing one day and making up the next, closer than real siblings. Kara Gordon's words carried multiple layers of meaning, causing Martha to roll her eyes slightly. Your brother and I have similar personalities, so we argue easily. But siblings never hold grudges overnight. Besides, he's a kind person. Kara, you and he will definitely be happy together. Martha, don't say nonsense, Ethan Gordon said, his face flushing. He liked hearing such words, but he was also afraid Kara might get upset. Why are you talking nonsense? Kara already admitted at the auction that she's with you, didn't she? Martha exclaimed in shock. Really? Kara. Did you agree to be with me? Ethan Gordon looked at Kara Gordon excitedly. Kara was such a kind and gentle girl, he vowed to protect her in the future. Kara Gordon's face turned pale, then darkened, silently cursing Martha for being so talkative. However, she still put on a shy expression and said, Ethan, feelings should develop slowly. Rushing things won't lead to good results. Ethan, are you willing to take things slow with me? I'm willing. Ethan Gordon's eyes turned red with emotion. Martha couldn't help but sigh. This clueless guy, Kara Gordon was clearly treating him as a backup plan, yet he was happily thinking he was about to be promoted to the main role. So, have you two confirmed your relationship? I need to post this on my social media to congratulate you. Martha spoke as she picked up her phone, ready to take a picture. Kara Gordon turned pale with fear, but being the heroine, she quickly adjusted her demeanor. She tugged on Ethan Gordon's arm coquettishly and said, Ethan, shouldn't we fully understand each other before officially confirming our relationship? Yes, Kara is right. Ethan Gordon was so overwhelmed with excitement that he completely followed Kara Gordon's lead. Aren't you two childhood friends? They had grown up together, and Ethan Gordon had been chasing after Kara Gordon since they were kids. He probably understood her better than her own mother. How could Ethan Gordon be so oblivious, not realizing Kara Gordon had ulterior motives even at this point? Martha's words seemed to bring the backup plan Ethan Gordon back to his senses somewhat. That's right, Kara, I do know you very well. But I don't understand, Ethan, don't you want to give me a chance to get to know you? Martha Gordon meddled in others' business, making Kara Gordon grit her teeth in frustration. I'm willing, Kara. I'm willing to let you get to know me. As expected, Ethan Gordon took the bait. Brother, just saying it doesn't help. Quickly hand over your resume so Kara can get to know you better, Martha continued to assist. Oh, right. My name is Ethan Gordon, and I'm from the Gordon family. Kara grew up with us. She already knows all of this. You have to tell her something she doesn't know. Kara Gordon doesn't understand Ethan Gordon. Ridiculous. In the book, Kara Gordon toyed with Ethan Gordon willingly. Kara, in what way do you want to understand me? Ethan Gordon felt Martha had a point. This. Kara Gordon was cornered. Ugh. She pushed Ethan Gordon away, pretending to be drunk and nauseous, successfully steering the conversation away. After pretending to vomit, she feigned unconsciousness, keeping up the act until she was taken home. By then, dawn had broken. Martha sat in the passenger seat of Ethan Gordon's car, scrolling through her phone while sending him countless WeChat messages. The constant dinging of notifications annoyed Ethan Gordon, prompting him to ask, "Martha, what are you sending me?" "The love manual for assistance." Martha put down her phone and yawned, "Brother, just take me to the company. I'll sleep there for a while." It's already 6 o'clock now, with the morning meeting at 9, she could still sleep for more than 2 hours. Okay. Ethan Gordon wasn't interested in the company. Compared to researching skincare products, he preferred his flowers and plants. After dropping Martha off, Ethan Gordon returned to his room and opened the love manuals Martha had sent him. Inside, there were suggestions like posting on social media to seek love, confessing with candles downstairs, and courageously saying, "I love you," among others. Ethan Gordon found the manuals quite reasonable, so he began implementing the method suggested in them. Kara Gordon, wholeheartedly focused on cultivating her spare tires, had no idea her fish pond was about to explode. The next day, early in the morning, 3 topics dominated the trending searches on a certain social media platform. Hashtag true love exists in the world. Ethan Gordon of the Gordons Corporation boldly pursues love. Hashtag a self-introduction post as long as a novel. Hashtag officially confirmed relationship. Hashtag famous influencers gathered at the Miller apartment, live streaming and recording videos. 2 trucks loaded with luxury goods left everyone astonished. Kara Gordon instantly became the woman everyone in River City envied. Meanwhile, Kara Gordon sat gloomily in her apartment. In front of her, the floor was a chaotic mess, with shattered porcelain pieces scattered everywhere. She completely didn't understand which sentence last night had hinted Ethan Gordon in such a way. Now, the whole world knows she wants to slowly progress with Ethan Gordon. Last night, she nurtured her backup plans with usual phrases, and now the entire internet knows. She couldn't refuse. After all, in those hot girls videos, they had built her image as pure, cautious, and reservedly liking Ethan Gordon. If she refused, it would contradict that image. But she absolutely would not become Ethan Gordon's girlfriend. The one she liked was Lucas Howard, and she would eventually become Lucas Howard's wife. Ding dong, the sound of phone messages kept ringing. Kara Gordon picked it up to see, and they were messages from the backup plans she had been nurturing. Some criticized her for playing with emotions, while others wished her true love. In short, all the resources she had painstakingly nurtured over time were now completely cut off in one go. Kara Gordon didn't just dislike Ethan Gordon anymore, she hated him. Kara Gordon opened her friend circle and posted, "Is the truth really what we see in front of us?" She wanted to try turning the situation around. Not long after Kara Gordon posted in her friend circle, Lucas Howard called. "Kara, are you with Ethan Gordon now?" If listened carefully, one could sense the concern in Lucas Howard's voice. Kara Gordon slightly curled her lips, aggrieved, and said, "I'm not." "Then what's all the fuss online about?" Hearing Kara Gordon deny it, Lucas Howard let out a sigh of relief. "Oh, mentioning this makes me so upset. I swear to you, Ethan Gordon and I only have a sibling-like relationship, absolutely nothing more. It's just that he misunderstood, partly because I wasn't clear enough, but I..." Kara Gordon pouted. She continued, "But you know my position in this family, Lucas. I'm small and insignificant, my words carry no weight. I didn't dare to speak up clearly. Now that things have escalated to this point, I honestly don't know what to do anymore." As Kara Gordon spoke, she sobbed, her nasal voice filled with sorrow, crying directly into Lucas Howard's heart. Chapter 14, Scandal Online. Lucas Howard had always liked Kara Gordon. She was gentle, kind-hearted, and completely devoid of the arrogance and pride typical of wealthy heiresses. In truth, Kara Gordon was his ideal wife. If it weren't for his desire to elevate the Harper family's status further, he would never have married Martha Gordon. Wait a moment, Lucas Howard suddenly came up with a plan. If Martha Gordon's reputation issue leads to the annulment of the engagement, then the Harper family would gain the upper hand. Taking advantage of this opportunity, they could pull in the Gordon family's partners, step over the Gordon family to climb higher, and elevate the Harper family's status. Thinking of this, a sinister expression appeared on Lucas Howard's face. "Kara, stop crying. I have a plan that can ease your current situation." "What plan?" Kara Gordon asked tearfully. "Use a bigger scandal to overshadow this news," Lucas Howard said in a grim tone, his eyes flashing with malice. "A bigger scandal?" Kara Gordon was puzzled. She recalled every detail from her previous life. At this time, it seemed like nothing major had happened. Martha Gordon having an affair with William Hunt. Remembering the humiliation he suffered at the bar, Lucas Howard was filled with uncontrollable rage. "What?" Kara Gordon exclaimed in surprise, unable to hide the smile creeping onto her lips. "I've already asked some friends to get the surveillance footage from the bar." "Just wait for the big news," Lucas said. Once he got the footage, he would delete all parts unfavorable to him. At that point, let's see how Martha Gordon could defend herself. "Lucas," Kara Gordon feigned hesitation. "Martha is my cousin and your fiancée. We both know what kind of person she is. Could this be some kind of misunderstanding?" "Misunderstanding? I saw it with my own eyes. What could possibly be misunderstood?" Kara was truly kind-hearted. Even at this point, she was still thinking of others. Someone like Martha Gordon, that despicable woman, didn't deserve any sympathy. That night, Martha Gordon even swiped his card for $2 million in one go. What a wasteful woman. Martha is truly outrageous. How could she be so unfaithful? Such behavior, lacking in moral conduct, if the elders in the family were still alive, they would certainly punish her severely. Back when Grandma was alive, she often reminded the daughters to uphold virtue and maintain decency. Kara Gordon first stood from Lucas Howard's perspective to criticize Martha, then borrowed the words of the family elders to highlight her own purity. This maneuver was highly effective, and Lucas Howard's fondness for Kara Gordon skyrocketed. "Kara, whoever marries you in the future will truly be the luckiest man." "Lucas." Kara Gordon shyly called out his name. "Indeed, what you can't have is always the most desirable." Before Lucas Howard officially broke off his engagement with Martha Gordon, Kara aimed to be the beauty mark on his chest, the bright moon in his heart, even if she couldn't be his lover. With such subtle hints, once he annulled the engagement with Martha Gordon, Kara would immediately become his fiancée. Kara Gordon had everything planned perfectly. As soon as the call ended, Lucas Howard immediately instructed someone to send the meticulously edited bar video to a beauty blogger with tens of thousands of followers. The female beauty blogger immediately drafted the content, and after both parties agreed, her post along with the video was uploaded. #meeting handsome guys and beautiful girls at the bar, male lead resembling William Hunt, another day to envy someone else's love. In this video, under dim lighting and with lively music in the background, you can see two people standing very close to each other, seemingly in some sort of confrontation, creating a very ambiguous atmosphere. The video posted by the beauty blogger was tagged William Hunt. William Hunt, with his captivating face, has always maintained his top-tier status in the entertainment industry. As soon as this video was released, it immediately caused a stir. William Hunt's fans dissected every frame of the video, ultimately confirming that it was indeed their beloved idol. Their idol shines like the stars, and even if he turned to ashes, they could still recognize him. Female fans, blinded by anger, flocked to Martha's Weibo, exposing and cursing her. Taking advantage of the situation, Lucas Howard tagged Martha under the beauty blogger's Weibo post and questioned, "Am I still your fiancé?" At the same time, numerous netizens who knew about the situation chimed in online. Some said that CEO Harper is not only handsome but also deeply devoted, always indulging the eldest daughter of the Gordon family. Others said that when Martha was unattractive in the past, Lucas Howard never despised her and always encouraged her to be confident. Now that she's confident, she immediately has an affair. These people all have images and evidence. Kara Gordon's hot search was immediately suppressed. In the blink of an eye, Martha on the internet became synonymous with promiscuity and shamelessness. The top hot searches on Weibo were dominated by the names William Hunt and Martha. Martha had just finished handling a pile of documents when she received a call from Fiona Blake. The voice on the other end was particularly angry. "Martha, have you seen today's hot search?" Hot search? She had been busy all morning and hadn't had time to check any news. "That bastard Lucas Howard is slandering you online. Let me take a look," Martha said as she closed her inbox and opened the hot search. #Gordon family heiress promiscuous ## William Hunt tricked by a scheming woman as the third party ## Gordon Corporation stocks drop #. Should I find some thugs to teach him a lesson? Fiona Blake gritted her teeth in anger. No rush. Martha calmly closed the hot search. "Boss, how are you so composed? Aren't you angry at all?" Martha's calm demeanor left Fiona Blake utterly confused. She was seething with rage, yet Martha seemed completely unbothered. "Just arrived? I'll drop by your beauty salon later. Have you reviewed the contract? Given the temperament of those scumbags, this situation will definitely have further consequences. Why rush now? She'll wait to handle everything at once later." "Martha, are you too carefree? At a time like this, you still have the mood to discuss business?" Everyone says Fiona Blake is a workaholic, but compared to Martha, she's just a novice. Should I cry, scream, or hang myself? If that worked, she might consider it. Unfortunately, it doesn't help, so she might as well focus her energy on work. "Alright, I can't argue with you. I'll quietly wait for the little boss to arrive." Ever since her best friend saw through Lucas Howard's true colors, she had become remarkably composed. Indeed, men only slow down the sisterhood's blade. Hanging up the phone, Martha rubbed her face, glanced at the mirror on the table, and tried to adjust her emotions. She had to act convincingly. When she stepped out of the office, the research and development team saw a director with a panicked expression, red eyes, and a fragile demeanor as if she might faint at any moment. Chapter 15, The Divine Herb. Kara Gordon looked at the trending search rankings, smugly seeking out Andrew Gordon. After a secret discussion, another sensational piece of news about Martha Gordon emerged. #Martha Gordon becomes the largest shareholder of the Gordons, reckless and arbitrary actions #using the same tactics as Lucas Howard, vague video clips, and a few insiders. The person who uploaded the video was an entertainment blogger, and those involved were the same group Andrew Gordon hired on the day she assumed her position. Although they didn't capture anything substantial that day, Andrew Gordon provided them with plenty of fabricated materials. Adding to this entertainment blogger, who is active regularly online, there are over 3 million fans. These two waves of heated searches have directly caused the Gordon stock price to hit the floor. Henry Walker, the assistant beside William Hunt, gently reminded him, "Boss, Miss Gordon, the one entangled in rumors with you, is currently in trouble. Should our Hunt family help remove the trending searches?" The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. The mantis thinks it's catching the cicada, but little does it know the cicada has evolved into an oriole. It's just an empty shell. Let's quietly observe. William Hunt, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, tapped the keyboard with his fair fingers as he handled business for the Ho Corporation. Multitasking was not a challenge for him. "Understood," Henry Walker replied, his mind beginning to ponder the deeper meaning behind his boss's words. Lately, he found it increasingly difficult to grasp his boss's thoughts. The boss was always cold, uninterested in romantic relationships, yet he tacitly allowed the rumors between himself and Miss Gordon, Martha Gordon. What could this mean? This might mean that the iron tree in his boss's heart was about to bloom. William Hunt had no idea that within his assistant's mind at this moment, there were stormy waves, one after another. Achoo! Martha, while signing the investment contract on the spot, suddenly sneezed loudly. Fiona Blake noticed and immediately said, "It must be that bastard Lucas Howard talking about you. That scumbag, are you sure you won't give him a good beating? In a civilized society, being civilized, isn't it better to strike from behind?" Martha signed her name with flair. Strike from behind. Fiona Blake's eyes lit up. She knew Martha wouldn't just sit back and take it. "You'll find out soon enough," Martha replied with a mysterious and ambiguous smile. "Come on, tell me. I'll help you analyze the success rate." Fiona Blake was itching with curiosity, desperate to know what "striking from behind" meant. All right. Let's go. I'll take you somewhere." There was a piece of land in the western part of the city Martha hadn't visited yet. She only knew it was an ecological area but had no clue about the specifics inside. "Where are we going?" Fiona Blake grabbed her handbag and followed. "You'll see when we get there." Martha tucked away the contract and led Fiona Blake to the plot of land in the western part of the city. As they got out of the car, the first thing that caught their eyes was an intricately carved wooden gate. Martha stepped forward and pressed the doorbell next to the wooden gate. Not long after, the door opened, and a middle-aged man who looked like a butler appeared. Upon seeing Martha, he greeted her respectfully. He then guided Martha and Fiona Blake to begin a tour of the ecological area. This ecological area spans 100 acres. Upon entering, one can immediately see several common plant species. The deeper you go, rare and precious plants begin to appear, something completely unexpected for Martha. "Martha, it's the fairy herb." Just as Martha was pondering about the beauty of the flowers, Fiona Blake's astonished voice rang out beside her. Following Fiona Blake's gaze, Martha looked over and saw a vast field of fairy herbs before her eyes. Wasn't this supposed to be extremely hard to find? Otherwise, Abigail Stone wouldn't have been able to monopolize it so easily. "Miss Gordon, fairy herb is Lady Miller's favorite plant. Initially, there were only 3 acres of it, but due to the suitable soil and temperature here, it has expanded to 5 acres. In recent years," Butler James promptly explained. "Butler James, may I ask if the fairy herb here is for sale?" Fiona Blake cautiously inquired. If the Miller family were willing to sell her even half an acre of fairy herb, her beauty salon could be saved. Hearing this, Butler James turned to look at Martha. Martha cleared her throat, ready to indulge her best friend. "If you like it, all 5 acres of fairy herb are yours." "Martha, stop joking, Butler James is still here." "Wait, are you serious?" Fiona Blake's chest heaved intensely. Overwhelmed with joy, she covered her mouth with her hands, her face filled with excitement as she looked at Martha. "Your best friend secretly bought an ecological park." Recently, she heard news from her father that the Downs family intended to purchase the land on the west side of the city from the Miller family. It seemed like both parties had already reached a cooperation agreement. What exactly is going on now? Fiona Blake's mind was overwhelmed, as if struck by this unexpected happiness. "Of course, it's true. I've already signed the contract with the Miller family," Martha replied calmly, her lips curling slightly in response to her best friend's excitement. "Oh my gosh! Businesswomen are truly irresistible." Fiona realized that Martha was even more suited for business than she was. While Fiona struggled hard and nearly drove her beauty salon to bankruptcy, her precious Martha quietly, without a word, managed to snatch the Miller family's ecological park right out of the Downs family's hands. This was truly a heaven-defying talent. "This is just the beginning. Miss Blake, please control your emotions, or you might fall so deeply in love with me that you can't escape," Martha teased. The woman in the novel who once sacrificed everything for her best friend and met a tragic end now stood before her, full of energy and life. This twist in the storyline made Fiona feel unexpectedly delighted, so she playfully bantered with Martha. That night, Fiona Blake and Martha stayed at the ecological park. Later, Martha changed into casual clothes and headed to the immortal herb area. After observing for a while, she selected a 2-square-meter patch of immortal herb, murmured a spell, and drops of celestial dew gently dripped from her fingertips, falling gently onto the fairy herb. Last time, when it secreted fairy dew, she only managed to collect this much, the rest was snatched away by William Hunt. But it didn't matter, this was already an unexpected delight. In the blink of an eye, the fairy herb grew at a pace visible to the naked eye, blooming tiny pale pink flowers. Martha bent down, gently inhaling the scent of the fairy herb. A faint spiritual energy intertwined with the rich fragrance, filling Martha's nostrils. The medicinal properties of this 2-square-meter patch of fairy herb had multiplied several times over. This was exactly the effect Martha had been hoping for. Ding ding ding, suddenly, the sharp ringing of a phone echoed. She pulled out her phone, glanced at the incoming call notification, and a faint smirk curled at the corner of her lips. Her fingertip lightly pressed the answer button. The sharp, questioning voice of Lucas Howard came through the receiver. "Martha, do you have anything you'd like to explain to me?" "Explain?" Martha replied indifferently. "Have you not seen the trending topics online?" Hearing the calmness in her voice from the other end, Lucas Howard momentarily found it hard to gauge her reaction, and his initially urgent tone softened slightly. "Nhayatsu? What's that?" "Fiona dragged me out to play the whole day today." Martha's eyes flickered slightly, her voice full of doubt. Hearing this, Lucas Howard breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. So, she hadn't seen it yet. He thought she had figured something out. It seemed he had been worrying for nothing. Of course, if she had seen the trending topic, she would have rushed to explain it to him. Given her love for him, there was no way she could remain this calm. Chapter 16, Successfully breaking off the engagement. Martha's attitude made Lucas Howard arrogant again. "Why are you hanging out with Fiona Blake again? She's always trying to come between us. Can't you see that? And another thing, at the bar, you told me that you and William Hunt were just a misunderstanding. Now, news about the two of you is all over the internet. Martha, don't you think you owe me an explanation?" "Lucas, I've already made it very clear at the bar. Mr. Hunt and I are innocent." Claiming it was an explanation, but in reality, Lucas Howard just wanted her to give an answer that aligned with his wishes. But she wasn't going to cater to him. "Innocent, huh? Then what about the trending topic? If you don't explain, does that mean you're silently admitting to those rumors?" Lucas Howard shouted over the phone. At this moment, he wanted to force Martha to explain. He knew Martha cared about him, and he pushed her a little further, confident that she would rush to clarify things. With her PR skills, the explanation would only turn into a chaotic mess. At that moment, he seized the opportunity to fan the flames further, crafting an image of a devoted, unfortunate, and ambitious man. In this way, the Gordons would undoubtedly suffer, and the Harpers could exploit their victim status to seize business opportunities and clientele from the Gordon family. Lucas Howard had a well-thought-out plan, but Martha would not let him have his way. Those fabricated rumors are not worth paying attention to. "The truth will prevail," Martha declared with an upright and clear voice. "Can you think about me for a moment? The internet is full of gossip about me being cheated on. Martha, can you stop being so willful?" With a new scheme brewing in his mind, Lucas Howard no longer wanted to placate Martha as before, pretending to be weary while continuing to calculate his next move. "Willful? Fine, if that's the case, let's call off the engagement," Martha said, her voice trembling slightly from anger and hurt as she held back tears. Lucas Howard, seeing the trending topics filled with insults aimed at Martha, puffed out his chest and roared, "Martha, don't think I won't do it. Don't push my limits just because I've indulged you. Fine, Then let's call it off, Martha replied, hanging up the phone and casually blocking all contact with Lucas Howard. As the call ended, a cold smile crept across Lucas Howard's lips as he edited the recording of their conversation. Martha Gordon's stubborn and ungrateful attitude conveniently reinforced his image as a devoted and long-suffering man. After editing the recording, Lucas Howard timed his move perfectly, quickly posting a short message online. He lamented Martha's heartlessness and revealed that it was she who suggested breaking off the engagement. He expressed his heartbreak but added that he would never force anyone against their will, stating, "If you can find happiness, I am willing to let go." 5 minutes after the post went live, it skyrocketed to the trending list. Martha's account was frantically reported and insulted by netizens. Meanwhile, Lucas Howard's account saw a skyrocketing increase in followers. In an instant, Lucas Howard was crowned with titles such as National Boyfriend, Most Devoted Ex-Lover, and Nation's Good Man. This surge also boosted the Harper family's stock value significantly. Kara Gordon, seeing the news online, happily popped open a bottle of champagne to celebrate. The position of Mrs. Harper was soon to be hers. Martha, who had already been dismissed from Lucas Howard's heart, was lazily leaning on the sofa at this moment, casually scrolling through her phone. After some thought, she decided it was time. Thus, Martha logged into her account and, taking advantage of the ongoing buzz, posted a message, "Lucas Howard, you've truly hurt me. You clearly know the truth isn't like this, yet you still deliberately smeared me. If that's the case, then in front of all the netizens as witnesses, let's officially annul our engagement. From now on, we'll go our separate ways, with no further entanglements." At Lucas Howard, after posting this statement, she felt much lighter, as though she had finally rid herself of this scumbag. It was truly a relief. However, Martha's post caused yet another wave of criticism. Netizens continued to side with Lucas Howard, accusing Martha of being manipulative and vicious, claiming that despite the clear evidence, she was still trying to twist the narrative. The situation escalated further, and Martha became the target of widespread condemnation online. During this period, Fiona Blake and Victor Clark anxiously called, worried their friend might overthink. After comforting her good friends, she was then called by her mother, who had recently started spending time online. Busy for a while, she finally managed to free herself. At this moment, Lucas Howard, with a cheerful expression, watched as netizens berated Martha Gordon. The hype had reached its peak, and he responded to a message, "All right, I hope you won't regret it." At Martha, Lucas Howard looked at this message with satisfaction. He could already envision his bright future. Riding this wave, not only could he step on the Gordon family to climb to a higher status, but he could also form a marital bond with Kara. He had long grown tired of Martha Gordon, and now everything was going according to his wishes. Martha, who had been set up, was quite pleased with the current level of attention. A glimmer of interest sparkled in her eyes. The time was approaching, it was almost time to reel in the net. She then clicked on another avatar and sent out a message. A few minutes later, a detailed essay revealing surprising truths appeared. #cheating. Perhaps it's a complete reversal of black and white, ## reckless behavior. The first to object is a staff member of the Gordons group, #the essay. Spanned thousands of words. The writing style was clear, logical, and well supported. The images were sharp and authentic. Moreover, according to sources close to the matter, William Hunt and Martha were merely discussing cosmetic business matters at the bar. As for the so-called intimate pulling, it was pure fabrication. Not to mention, the angle of the photos was inherently misleading, and nothing captured in them showed any excessive intimacy. As for the rumors claiming Martha was disrespectful to her elders and acted recklessly, employees from the research and development department of the Gordons Group, from senior to junior levels, stepped forward to debunk these claims. The new welfare policy issued by Martha is truly excellent, and they all remember it clearly. There were claims that Lucas Howard spoiled Martha endlessly, but Martha did not appreciate it. However, a group of witnesses stepped forward to refute these claims. They all testified that Martha deeply valued her relationship with Lucas Howard, revealing one by one how devoted she was to him. Some even provided evidence showing the contrast between Lucas Howard's and Martha's social circles. It was evident that Lucas Howard's social media hardly ever mentioned Martha, whereas Martha's was filled with posts about Lucas, brimming with admiration and infatuation. The essay further disclosed that Lucas Howard did not trust Martha. There were photos of Lucas Howard yelling at Martha in front of a villa, as well as images of him interrogating her repeatedly, while Martha appeared exhausted and hurt at a bar. The sudden reversal was unexpected. The situation escalated rapidly, and within just a few minutes, hot news related to Lucas Howard once again dominated the trending charts. It was clear that someone was orchestrating events behind the scenes. The image of Lucas Howard began to crumble. Some enthusiastic netizens even started digging into Lucas Howard's history of wealth accumulation. To their surprise, they discovered that the Harper family only started to rise gradually in 2018, with their meteoric success occurring in 2020, the same year the Gordon family and the Harper family got engaged. In other words, the current smooth sailing and financial prosperity of the Harper family, to some extent, was thanks to the Gordon family. In a short amount of time, phrases like wolf in sheep's clothing, ungrateful, and insolent replaced the title of national boyfriend, becoming the new labels for Lucas Howard. The image Lucas Howard had spent years building was completely shattered. The Harper family's stocks plummeted without restraint. Chapter 17, A Date. The moment Lucas Howard saw the news, his face darkened, trembling with fury. The feeling of being mocked and scorned so wildly was something he had never experienced before. Since the Harper family rose to prominence thanks to the Gordon family, the comments he had always received were praises like young and talented or successful at a young age. Lucas Howard punched the wall hard, his eyes fixated on the screen, his gaze burning with rage. The drastic shift in public opinion made him hate Martha Gordon to the core. If I can't have peace, then neither will you, he thought. Logging into his account, he posted a status, Martha Gordon, are you and William Hunt really not having an affair? You claim it's about discussing collaboration, but who discusses collaboration while holding hands? And at the auction, he even gave you his card to spend, and he paid. Saying you two are innocent, who would believe that? As soon as this news was posted, netizens immediately sensed drama. They didn't believe the words of a cheating man claiming two people had an illicit relationship but were simply curious about the phrase, she spends, I pay. Everyone wanted to know what had happened. Netizens were like grasshoppers in a melon field, hopping back and forth between the accounts of the three individuals involved. Martha initially didn't want to pay attention to this situation, but the matter had begun to affect unrelated people. Even some anti-fans of William Hunt jumped in with baseless accusations, and the situation was becoming increasingly serious. Martha was so angry she laughed. In a moment of impulse, she posted a response, I and Mr. Hunt are merely business partners, but you've slandered us like this. If I don't turn your slander into reality, wouldn't that make me unfair to your accusations? Mr. Hunt, how about a date? At William Hunt's fanbase was massive, and they paid close attention to anything related to him. The moment Martha's post went live, the number of comments skyrocketed to the millions, but most were negative, as in their eyes, no one was worthy of him. Some people even directly insulted Lucas Howard in the comments, believing that if it weren't for him, Martha Gordon wouldn't have posted such a statement. At this moment, at Ho Corporation, Assistant Henry Walker knocked on the CEO's office door. The internet was already in an uproar, and this matter needed to be reported. Boss, should we involve public relations to clarify this? Henry Walker was increasingly unable to predict his boss's thoughts, but he still dutifully handed over the tablet. William Hunt looked at Martha's status displayed on the tablet, the corner of his mouth slightly curved, appearing very pleased. He had been worrying about how to approach Martha to gain access to her secrets. This situation was perfectly in his favor. No need, I'll handle it myself. With that, William Hunt logged into his account and posted a status. Whoa, this immediately caused a massive stir. William Hunt's fans were stunned, and after recovering, they cried their hearts out. Don't ask why, just know their hearts were shattered. Boo-hoo, tonight was their heartbreak night. They despised Lucas Howard so much. How could someone be so tactless in this world? Unlike the netizens who were caught up in the drama, news about a possible alliance between the Hunt and Gordon families spread rapidly. Investors sensed a business opportunity, shifted their stocks, causing the Harpers' shares to plummet. Conversely, thanks to their connection with the Ho Corporation, the Gordons' shares surged continuously. The major shareholders of the Gordons Corporation beamed with joy, growing increasingly satisfied with Martha Gordon. Come out, I'm outside your villa. Martha was already surprised enough, so much so that after seeing William Hunt's post, she didn't know how to respond. Now, upon seeing the message he sent, her little heart pounded wildly in chaos. She ran to the window to look. In the thick darkness, a car's headlights shone brightly, standing out prominently. Martha quickly put on her coat and stepped out the door. Get in the car. Martha hesitated for just a moment before getting in. As the distance between them shortened, Martha's fingertips started to tingle slightly. You. I was just joking earlier, you shouldn't take it seriously. Martha looked at William Hunt, unsure of how to phrase her words. The rich fragrance of celestial dew, brimming with spiritual energy, wafted into William Hunt's nose. William Hunt adjusted his breathing, his fiery gaze fixed on Martha. With a mix of threat and persuasion, he said, I've taken it seriously. Once spoken, you can't take it back. Being with me has plenty of benefits, like partnerships. Plus, I can help keep Lucas Howard from bothering you. What do you think? This was the first time he had ever threatened and coaxed a young woman into binding herself to him. To be honest, the feeling was somewhat surreal. Are you sure you want to help me, to partner with me? I'm planning to do something bad, you know, Martha thought for a moment. If William Hunt's help was genuine, it would indeed be advantageous for her. William Hunt replied with unwavering certainty, I'm sure. Martha wasn't naive enough to think William Hunt liked her, benefits were the true nature of businessmen. She asked, what's the condition? Ferry Road. As soon as these words were uttered, Martha immediately felt reassured. All right, deal. After all, the Ferry Road only emerged because of being near William Hunt. This feeling of benefiting directly from the source was wonderful. Moreover, we might need to get engaged soon. As William Hunt said this, Martha looked at him with a puzzled expression, her gaze silently asking, why? The news about us being together has just spread, and surely some partners will target the Gordons. However, they won't act immediately. To secure their cooperation, our relationship needs to stabilize. William Hunt deliberately guided Martha, explaining everything clearly. Martha looked at William Hunt, observing his sincere demeanor, seemingly thinking of her well-being. She felt a mix of being touched and hesitant. Engagement would mean binding the two of them together. William Hunt noticed Martha's hesitation and asked, do you already have someone you like? Well, no. Don't worry. If, in the future, you fall for someone else, we can cancel the engagement. I won't hold you back. William Hunt's deep, alluring voice sounded like a devil whispering, enchanting Martha. All right then, here's to a pleasant collaboration. Martha, seemingly truly bewitched, unconsciously agreed with him. William Hunt looked at Martha, his thin lips slightly parted, and his words sounded like tender whispers between lovers, a pleasant collaboration, my little girlfriend. Martha felt a bit shy, shifting uneasily in her seat. Why did this man's words always seem to have a hook in them? William Hunt was slightly surprised, this little girlfriend of his was so easy to fool. He had initially prepared himself mentally to use a mix of soft and hard tactics. No matter what, he had to keep Martha by his side. The intoxicating scent of celestial dew in the car grew increasingly intense, adding an even more alluring and captivating aura to William Hunt's demeanor. Martha, feeling somewhat annoyed by the gaze of the man in front of her, was just about to speak to break this strange atmosphere. In the next moment, her hand was suddenly grabbed, and immediately her fingertips were enveloped in a hot, moist sensation. That enchanting, heart-stirring expression on his face left Martha breathless, her heartbeat noticeably accelerating. This seductive devil. She quickly averted her eyes, not daring to look at William Hunt any longer.